What's up guys, it's Multiplier and you're in for a real treat today. I have been playing around with Gladiator 2 and fuck me, is this the best thing I've ever used. Straight up, this is the most exciting synth I've ever had a chance to play about with. It's doing some really innovative stuff, it's got some amazing presets, but it just allows you to make the craziest shit, kind of really simply and easily, but it does. Oh, it's so good. Can't wait to show you. Anyway, I mean, check out the sound that literally took all of 2 minutes to make after me spending like 10 minutes reading the manual and only half knowing what's going on. Check that shit out. I mean, that's seriously like 2 minutes of playing about after 10 minutes of reading the manual. So I have a reasonable idea about how it all works, but fuck me, is this a very, very cool synth. So yeah, looking forward to showing you. So let's get straight into it. Let's load up kind of the initial one. Cool, so I'll press the initial up here, do a few clicks, and now it loads up like the default sound, so I can kind of explain what's going on. So, Gladiator 2 by Tone 2, it is really different, but really, really cool. It's called what's basically the type of synthesis is called harmonic content morphing. I'm not sure if Tone 2 invented it or not, but as far as I'm aware, it's different to anything I've ever seen before. It's kind of like a variation on kind of subtractive wavetable synthesis, but more crazy. But it also does bits of FM, bits of AM. It's got some amazing, pretty much every little fine-tuned detail you need that you would expect from a synth, stuff like Unison, just basically all the sort of normal controls you'd expect. It has all of that, but it does all this really unique shit as well, and it gives you a shitload of options at each stage, which is one of the best things about it. But yeah, so let's explain what's going on. Right, harmonic content morphing. You better get your kind of pay attention hats on, because this might get a bit complicated. Well, fundamentally, you've got a wave, or basically, let's just choose a wave for example. So if you kind of glance your eyes, so ignore all the buttons for a start, otherwise you'll get confused. If you just have a look at this kind of top left sort of section, we have oscillators 1 and 2. So we've got a wave over here. This is where we choose the first oscillator, almost like the first wave, almost like we choose a wavetable in wavetable synthesis. So we choose wave. So we've got all these options, which is tons of options. We choose something cool, like, see how we got all these different symbols next to it. This gives you a clue as to what sort of wave it is. So if we choose something really cool that might be quite obvious, something like a vocal that goes, ooh. Maybe not the best example. Let's choose, I want to choose one that's quite dynamic so you can really see exactly what's going on. Let's go to, there you go, VO Gladiator. There you go. This will be a prime example.
Welcome to Tone 2.
So you see how basically we have this window here. This is basically where the crux of what's going on with the synthesis is happening. So as I press a note, if you glance your eyes to the basically the top bit of the window, almost like a thin strip at the very top of this rectangle. So basically, I'll do some sort of mouse effect now. And if you kind of have a look along this line, you might have to look quite close and just kind of see what's going on as I'm pressing a note.
Welcome to Tone 2. Welcome to Tone 2 Gladiator. Welcome to Tone 2 Gladiator. Welcome to Tone 2 Gladiator.
See how basically it's making noise as it's going through this rectangle? That's because that's exactly what's going on. So instead of having just a simple wavetable, it's almost got like a wavetable, but in another dimension. It's also like it's just made it, it's almost like a wavetable, but taken to the next level. And then by changing this warp mode down here, the moment it sets to auto, basically by having a look at here, you can see how this kind of marker moves through almost like this wavetable kind of harmonic morphing grid. Call it whatever you like. It doesn't really matter what you call it. It's just this basically like a multi-dimensional spectrum of sound information that you kind of interact with. And then by kind of choosing the right one of these, it determines how you move through it. So if we choose, say, this one, which is a bunch of slashes, it basically moves back and forth through. So if I hold the button down now.
Welcome to Tone 2 Gladiator. Welcome to Tone 2 Gladiator.
See how it was just moving back and forth through it? I'll play it again.
Welcome to Tone 2 Gladiator. Welcome.
Pretty rad. So after you have to play around with a few of these, you get a feel for exactly what each symbol means, but it's super, super cool. And then you determine where you start in this kind of grid with the start thing. So if we move it to the middle, say, with this kind of start knob. See how it now moves the start to the middle, and now it starts in the middle. So very quickly you get a feel for what all these buttons do, and then speed will naturally be the speed at which you move through it. So depending on what sort of effect you're going for, whether it's a really cool slow morphing effect, you can do quite a slow speed, or more of a fast sort of effect, you can do it fast. But you can see how it's kind of moving through the grid. It's really, really cool. We're moving through this kind of space. We'll give it a name. We'll just call it the sound wave space morphing grid. So if you choose a different one, you'll see there's a different sort of thing in that kind of a multi-dimensional space. So if we choose, say, a drum loop, that'd be a nice way to demonstrate it. So I think there's a drum loop option somewhere. Oh, if I remember correctly, Dago VO drum loop, say. Just see, let's choose a different one, just something a bit more obvious what's going on. That's not very obvious at all. Let's choose a better drum loop, like drum loop 1. There you go. That's a shit example as well. Let's choose, I had a drum loop a second ago that went over there. Cool, so that's more of a sort of a drum loop, but of course, because you're playing it at weird speeds and doing weird stuff, it sounds a bit strange. But fundamentally, it's basically just each one of these waves is a different sound that it kind of gets manipulated. So if we choose a different one, say... So it just kind of moves through the space. Super, super cool stuff. But it gets way more awesome than that. So that's just one wave. If we choose, say, the second wave now, so this would be almost like Oscillator 2. If we choose one, say, I don't know, Vox A. Now what this basically does is if you keep an eye on these arrows, it gives you a clue as to what's going on. So see how it says wave and then down arrow, and then combine. So wave 2, arrow, arrow, combine. So this is where the two waves combine. So you've got a few options, which is what's going on with this box. So 1 just means it's playing the first wave, or the first oscillator. 2 just means playing the second. 1 plus 2 means it's combining the two. 1 minus 2 means it's subtracting the bit from the second wave from the first. And then you get all these weird little options, stuff like FM, synthesis, AM. Now, stuff like odd 1, even 2 is really, really cool. It basically allows you to combine like the odd harmonics of 1 from the even harmonics of the second. So like... That's just super, super cool the way they kind of interact. Loads of different options. And then you got all these other options at different stages. So before we get to the combining stage, we've got 2 sets of modulations. This is where it gets next level of awesome. I know it's already awesome. So we have like the first wave here, we have 2 sets of modulation. Now, it doesn't really matter if you understand what each one of these is, because I don't understand what each one of these is. I can kind of figure out what most of them mean, but it's just different ways of taking that standard like wavetable space and then just kind of fucking with it, just kind of doing cool shit to it. So you can pretty much just try loads of weird stuff and just kind of see what comes out. So we could try a bit of distortion. Pretty rad. You see how we were going for like some vocal stuff, so naturally when you play it slow, it kind of through distortion it sounds really kind of transformer bassy. Pretty rad. But I mean, because of how flexible this is, you don't have to choose like a vocal kind of dirty sort of bass sound. You can make pretty much every sound in existence, because you can choose kind of natural sounds and kind of surreal sounds and sound effects. And I mean, you see you've got like horns, tuba, so you get like normal sort, quote unquote normal sort of sounds, not like dubsteppy shit only. But you see how it's super flexible. You choose all these different kind of waves, and then you combine them in weird waves, modulate them in weird ways. You don't necessarily have to know what each single one does, but it's just really, really cool. And then you got a similar sort of thing with oscillators 3 and 4, similar sort of effect where you choose basically the same sort of things. And then you could combine oscillators 1 and 2 with oscillators 3 and 4 with this section here, the mix. So basically what I found is once you really start to understand what's going on with this new kind of concept called harmonic content morphing, everything else just kind of follows from there, because you kind of keep your eye on this little arrow at the top as it kind of goes through the sound. So you get a feel for what's going on with the space and how the sound's generated. And after that, you just get loads of really, really good standard synthesis controls, but just really, really good ones. So you get cool stuff like, let's make a cooler. Let's just choose some different mods just to see what kind of cool stuff we can make. Let's try wave shape. Let's try wave shape up on abs. What's abs? No idea what's going on with abs, but it sounds cool, so let's roll with it. So we've got a bit of a basic sound. Now maybe we want to do something else to it. Maybe we want to do some unison. So we can choose unison. You see how it just gives you loads of cool unison options? It's not just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, whatever. It just allows you to like stack them up in weird ways with like mono or stereo. So we can do like 2 times stereo. It's like unisons like 2 times but stereo, and then by the spread that will determine how spread out it is in terms of the stereo image. See how it's like wide and awesome, and then you've got spirit mode. Fuck knows what spirit mode is, but to me, I know I should look it up, but I have a feeling that I'm just going to not look it up just because I quite like the fact I don't know what it is. It just sounds pretty magical. So if we choose, say, pink, shit gets weirder, and it just gives it a weird sort of character like it's alive. So I like to think it puts spirit into it. I'm going to actually look up what it does, but spirit mode's awesome. And then you've got some cool stuff like filter and kind of FM, kind of synthesis stuff over here. So you've got your filter action, got a bit of distortion. So let's choose some distortion, like maybe hard clip. And then maybe crank up the drive so we can actually hear it. Pretty rad. Got some standard volume stuff, attack, decay, sustain, F, and release. So if I haven't really seen F too many times, but if you glance your eyes up to where the mouse is now, I'll do some sort of circle effect. You see we've got basically a picture kind of illustrating what's going on with the attack, decay, F, S, and R. So if you forget what that means, glance your eyes up there. Pretty rad. And then you've got some effects, just like you'd expect. Quite a few effects, which is awesome stuff, again. So we choose, I don't know, what is rotary? Let's try that. Fuck knows what that's doing, but it's moving it around my brain and it's making me excited. And then we can do a bit of reverb, maybe. A bit of large reverb. Bring down the size, bring down the mix. How sick is that? Then you got some other cool stuff like equalizer, high, low, etc., etc., etc. You got some LFOs, some step sequencers, which you can program in the normal way. You got loads of different waveforms for the LFO. It's your normal sort of stuff for as far as the LFOs and the step sequencers goes. And then you got the modulation matrices, which is where you determine which LFO or which just other modulation, whether it's a MIDI controller or mod wheel, pitch wheel, all the kind of standard sort of routing you'd expect to find on a proper synth. It's all there, and in fact, I quite like seeing it in this modulation matrix. I know there are some synths that do modulation really well, like Massive, but there are some that just do an absolutely horrible job and make it a nightmare. This is just really clean and simple for the modulation. You choose your input, let's say it's mod wheel, and then you choose your output, whether it's all these different outputs. It's just really standard intuitive stuff. We won't deal with that now, but it's more of an advanced thing. You know what I mean. You can figure it out. It's nice and easy in this synth. Then you got a bit of an arpeggiator as well if you need it. Some glide stuff, some pitch wheel stuff. And yeah, it's fucking rad, cool shit. Super, super love it. And you've even got some feedback delay thing over here as well, which should we play around with that? Oh, that's really, really cool. That's a really, really cool delay. I haven't even played with this before. Yeah, that kind of subtle delay. That's sick. It's a really subtle, cool delay. Fuck, that's awesome. How easy was that? I've only been playing with this for like 10 minutes before this video, maybe something like that. And I've already like figured out how it works, and it's awesome, awesome stuff. It's definitely my favorite synth I've ever used. Stoked on it. Even got a noise generator thing as well. Awesome. Right, that's going to be your video. Boom, 15 minutes. I said save that shit. Awesome ting. There you go. Boom. There's your preset saved. It even comes with loads of amazing presets. I won't go through them now, but do have a look through them if you get the synth. Download the demo or something. It's made by a company called Tone 2. Big ups, and damn, this is an awesome thing. I'm going to say it, this is going to be my new go-to synth. I'm going to say it, it's going to be my new go-to. It's, fuck yeah. I'll still use Massive a little bit just because I know it so well, but this is definitely going to be my go-to. Just because of how easy it is to use and how you don't have to spend ages programming shit in. I mean, synths like FM8 are awesome just because you can do so much with them. But fundamentally, if you want to make really interesting sounds with something like FM8, you spend fucking ages programming shit in. Whereas this, you just go through a bunch of waves really quickly, try a bunch of modulations, try a few speeds. It just, all the complexities built in there, and it gives you just enough control, but does enough complicated stuff for you that it just comes out naturally. Absolutely love this thing. But yeah, that's fucking it. Enjoy. Gladiator 2, banging. Stoked right now.